Let me come over here. So from Orlando, hey Tom. Can you guys hear me? Everything good? Give me, I can't see thumbs up. I'm using a different software today because Dylan's not here, so I figured OBS. Anyway, welcome to Guitar Hunter Live. Welcome to Friday. What's today? The 8th? Am I yelling? I see that I'm clipping, so maybe I need to stop yelling. I'm gonna turn, oh, hey. That seems important. That seems like what you would need to hear from me. I'm gonna turn this down just a smidge because I was yelling. So anyway, hey everybody, I am playing, I don't have a second camera, but on the floor, I have a brand new Mythos Mjolnir that Zach sent me. Hey, it's Zach Bro's birthday today. So after this, go over to Instagram, say, hey Zach, happy birthday. And so Zach sent me I've wanted a Mjolnir for a while. He had one that was a Blim, and so I got that. I also have a Morning Glory V4, but the way I have it set up, I have two daisy chains running, and it gets a little noisy when I turn on, see? It just gets noisy when I turn on the Morning Glory. So anyway, but yeah, say, everybody else, tell me where are you from? How's your Friday going? I see, which one is your favorite pedal? The Morning Glory or the Mjolnir? Both are awesome. Both are gold. I wish I would be able to. Maybe I could get fancy. I could invite myself on my phone and then do a second. That seems obnoxious. But, okay, so Mythos Mjolnir, GHS Morning Glory on the floor, a V4. Then I have a Mythos Oracle, also Mythos. Then I have an OCE, it's a Phase 90 that Chris from OCE Pedals modded and sent to me. And so it is a Phase 90, but it does a Univibe thing. And then I have a Hall of Fame Mini that is still set up on a spring reverb. That's a room, but let me turn the reverb off on there. So it's big, but I like the big preposterous one. So, great Friday vibrations. Thank you. Hello from Northern Canada. Happy Thanksgiving to all Canadians. Today's Thanksgiving in Canada? That's awesome. Happy Thanksgiving. Today, we're going to be talking about friendship. It's a little shift. So I've spent all week working on my tone course. Nope. That's a red thing. I've been working all this week on how to buy the right guitar. It's going to be a course that's going to launch as soon as possible. We're going to film a bunch of it next week. We're going to work through a bunch of stuff. But there is a component of it that's going to talk about friendships, because you're going to make friends along the way. And we're at a pretty pivotal moment for friendship. So there's a cool article that a friend of mine sent me a while ago. I actually was interviewed by a friend a while ago for a whole different thing that we did. So I want to talk about the same article we talked about in that interview. And that was in my not guitar playing life. But, well, it's all my guitar playing life. I didn't. Anyway, hey, there's a couple people from Orlando. So Mike, there we go. Jacob, happy Friday vibrations. Tom was talking about the Morning Glory. No, you were talking about the Mjolnir. So, the Mjolnir is awesome. I've only had it, 2 days? I think I got here on Wednesday. I played it yesterday a bunch. It is, if you like the Morning Glory, which I know it's not, one's a Klon circuit, one is a Blues Breaker circuit. They are pretty similar. Neither of them are tube screamery. They kind of, like, if you have your amp at the edge of breakup, they do a thing. They do a wonderful, warm, powerful, pushy thing. What I found is I love the Morning Glory. It's one of my favorite overdrive pedals I've ever owned. And I think I like the Mjolnir a little more. I don't use it in the same way that most people do. I don't use it in that like jangly, super leady thing. But anyway, what I do use it for is kind of a punky alternative thing. So anyway, Jeff is asking if I've ever used the Strymon Deco. I haven't. I actually would really like to get my hands on one. I love Strymon pedals. I've owned a couple, and each of them has been really, really good. I think that the Strymon Flint is the best pedal and probably the most important pedal of the last 10 years or so. Roddy, hello from North Carolina. Hey, I love North Carolina. It's a good place to be. Two of my brothers live in North Carolina. So, anyway, I think you'd like the Morning Glory for sure. another pedal I got. I actually got this from, let's see if it'll focus. Don't look at my face. Look at this. There we go. So this is the JHS Tidy, the Whitey Tidy. I keep calling it the Tidy Whitey, but I think it's the Whitey Tidy. Yes, there it is. But this is a really cool pedal, and really cool pedal. This is a tiny little compressor. But I was just in the last couple minutes before jumping on the live show, did this, and it just got a little, it's a little noisy with this. So I'm working on getting an ISO block and getting a proper power supply, because I have very reluctantly come into the pedal world for a couple of reasons. Like, I don't use a ton of pedals, but I'm getting to where I have a big pedal board. But the bigger thing is, through friendship, I now have great friends that have really, like, I have lots of friends who build cool pedals, cool amps, cool guitars, and so it just makes me want to cheer them on and throw them money when I can. I don't know Josh Scott, but he's a really important figure in the guitar world, and so I've really liked JHS. So when I get the chance and I have the space on the pedal board, I buy. So yeah, I guess I have 2 JHS pedals down here. I've had a bunch, but anyway. So cool. Yeah, David is David the Flint. It is a reverb. It's a Fender amp in a box and more. It really is. It's an amazing. The reverb is so good on that pedal. And then it has like kind of the harmony style, or it has a really cool reverb to it. Sorry, really cool reverb, really cool tremolo. The tremolo has the harmonic thing, so it's, oh man, it's just very cool. I sold it when we were kind of getting ready to move back to Virginia. I sold mine. But pedals are great, but are a commodity distraction from playing. Yep. I've wanted to make a video about how pedals are they are the biggest threat to a guitar collection and to guitar mastery. But I want to be careful, because I love pedals, but I'm with you. I think because they're pretty affordable, you can easily throw a bunch of money. And next thing you know, you've got, it's probably not hard to get above $1,000 into pedals. And pedals are super hot right now. I don't know how long that will last. But again, I want to be careful, because great friends. And but anyway, Philip's here. He says, I wanted to hate Strymon for so long. Not anymore. Unabashed fanboy. Yeah, I think they're pretty killer. So anyway, yes, I'm using a different software today. Seems like comments are working better. I'm able to just pull comments up. Dylan's not here today. He's off on an adventure, but it's been really great having an editor. So yeah, I'll just give kind of an update on this week. This week has been really busy for me in really good ways. So on Monday, I did an interview with a radio show in Boston. And so if you're in the Boston area, Sunday or Saturday morning at 9 a.m., there's going to be a story. I forget what it's something financial services. It's like a money and entrepreneurial podcast. And so I got interviewed for that. I was telling the story of Josh and Raymond and the 67 D28 that I bought about a year ago. And actually bought it over a year ago, like July of last year. And then by October, we were giving it back. It's an amazing story. If you haven't watched that video, I'm sure you have. And if not, there's a playlist that you can find pretty easily. That's kind of 4 videos. Buying a D28, selling a D28. I think maybe there's an everything wrong as well with that one. And then, and then we gave it back to him for free. So it's an amazing story. But I got interviewed for that on Monday. That'll come out tomorrow morning. If you're in Boston, I think it'll be on WBUR, which is the big NPR station. But yeah, so that was really cool. On Tuesday, on Tuesday I interviewed, what's his name? Maybe that was Monday as well. But on Tuesday it came out. I interviewed Robbie Z. We talked about his guitar collection that got stolen. So that was a fun one. On Wednesday, I did the 40 Watt podcast, which he's in here with. I think that one came out yesterday. That's a really fun podcast. We talk about Gibson Garage. We talk about gatekeeping. We talk about how to build a meaningful guitar collection. And it's all stuff that's circulated around what I've been thinking about with the other big chunk of my time this week. So the other main thing I've been working through this week is writing the How to Buy the Right Guitar course. And this is, I mean, I'm super proud of it. It's been hard earned. I like writing. I really enjoy writing and communicating. So it's been a really fun thing working through this week. We're going to film it next week, and then we have to do all the creative for it. So we have to do all of the, there are going to be a couple quizzes involved with it. There's going to be some PDFs and just really helpful. Like, to me, we are making the tool that I wish I would have had 10 or 15 years ago when I first really started buying and selling guitars. Because the bigger thing is it's going to help eliminate the noise of, like, it will help you buy fewer wrong guitars along the way. Now, the course is going to cover how to buy the right guitar, but it's also going to cover how to sell the wrong guitars. And so there's all these sub things that have come out as we've worked through it. But then the last one is how to build a meaningful guitar collection. So with some of that stuff, I mean, it's all, I find myself wanting to, like, make it perfect, but I also know that I need to increase some revenue so that I basically, and this is me just being very honest, I just need to be able to make more money more consistently without having to give away so much time, so that I'm able to concentrate on the really exciting things and the things that I feel like before I'm done with YouTube, which I don't know when that is, but there are things I feel like I really want to and need to say into the guitar world. And so anyway, the guitar course is going to be awesome. The how to buy the right guitar. It's going to be awesome. So anyway, other stuff going on this week. I did a bunch of calls. It's been really fun. And if you guys want to hang out, if you want advice on what guitars to buy, some of the cool loops that got closed. A couple weeks ago, I talked to a guy who lives in Israel, and he's like, "Hey, I want to own a Martin D41. And I'm going to be road tripping through the U.S. So can you help me? Figure out which guitar I should buy, which D41 I should buy? Can you help me find out which shops are going to be?" Because I think he went into Philadelphia and out through Boston, and so it was really cool. And so he ended up sending me pictures this past week. He found one in his price. It is a minty 2019 D41 that he got for a great price. He was able to take it back with him to Israel, and that's awesome. Other cool things, I helped somebody work through. They're having some issues with a friend who's also a guitar builder and also is a narcissist. And so it's helping people work through the fact that people are hard to deal with. And so doing some of the relational stuff. So anyway, if you want to do that, those are always super fun. And it feels like my core instinct in life is to be helpful. And so it's been really, really satisfying to me, but also to people that have paid for some of those meetings. So time is becoming more limited on those. But if you go to, there's a link in the description down below. But if you go to jeremytheguitarhunter.com/contact, Jeremy/contact. Yeah, we can talk. Oh, Tom says, $1,000 in pedals, too easy. Hold my beer. He didn't say hold my beer, but pedals are great, but a commodity. Oh, we already talked about that. Yes. So with all of that said, I need to hang on. Let me figure out if I can get my mouse here. Will this work? I may have to. Okay. Can I do this? Okay. My mouse will just be on my knee. So, okay. Let's see. I haven't practiced this. So I want to talk about an article that came out. It actually came out last summer. Okay. I'm just going to lean forward and use the mouse. So I want to talk about this article. And so let me see if I can share my screen. Here we go. I will share my screen here, and I want to read through this article real quick. So, I'm going to read it. I won't read all of it, but I'll just read some pertinent parts. So, this is in The Week, and the name of the article is The Politics of Loneliness is Totalitarian. All right. Let me make sure. Is this working? If I come back over here. Okay. All right, I can see that. Okay, all right. So, friendliness or friendlessness is on the rise, and so one must presume is loneliness. The troubling takeaway from a study released last week by the Survey Center on American Life shows that the number of both men and women who have no close friends increased by 5-fold over the past 30 years. For men, the rate of friendlessness has gone from 3% in 1990 to 15%. That's almost 1 in 5 men say that they have no close friends. And for women, it's gone from 2% to 10%. That's crazy. So think about only 2% of women said that they had no friends to now it's 10%. That's a huge increase. The pattern is the same on the high end, with the percentage of men saying that they have 10 or more friends dropping from 40% to 15%. So, all right. So there's more in the article. The article you can find down below. And I pulled out some of the things. So I'm going to stop sharing. I'll come back over here. So the first one that is just shocking to me is the number of men and women who claim that they have no friends has increased 5-fold. Other things, for men, the rate of loneliness has gone from 3% to 15%. That is a jarring increase in the amount of people that say that they have no friends, which would be a really sad and it wouldn't be. Like, I'm not, sorry, let me take that again. This is not a hypothetical, this is reality. It is very sad that people don't have friends. They don't have meaningful relationships in their lives. So, the pandemic of, we have a pandemic of friendlessness in our country. That's a serious problem. Mental health wise, relationally, societally, this is a problem. And this is no doubt exacerbated by the fact, so I didn't write this question, my friend. This is so a lot of the thoughts that are going to come out of this came from a friend and an interview that I did, that my wife and I did a couple months ago, talking about friendlessness and the need for friends. My wife and I mean, friendship is the central conviction value that we have. Now, on the Guitar Hunter channel, I highlight friendship, but it's really hard because, and the truth is, like, I am someone who in my whole life, friendship is a core central conviction, but I live in a town that has a fairly small guitar community, and because of the pandemic, I have just not seen as many people. So that's where this question comes in. So we have a pandemic of friendlessness in our country. No doubt it is exaggerated by a pandemic of illness. So is the combination a justification for not pursuing? Let me read this again. Is that a justification for not pursuing or deepening friendships right now? So because it has been tricky and complicated to be around people, is that a justification for not having friends? And so the reality is, and this data kind of shows it as well, before COVID and before the pandemic, we were already losing the ability to make meaningful friendships and to connect with people. And so now we've only had a riptide come and pull us far off of the coast. And so most of us now, we have like retreated from being with people because there is a component in which, I mean, for a year and a half now, we've been told to isolate from people, to distance from people, to be afraid of people. And I mean, have you guys been there? Have you been watching movies recently? And when you're watching movies, you're like, oh my gosh, there's so many people and they're so close together. Like, spread out. Why are they not wearing masks? Anyway, and throughout this, I don't want to have like an overly, this is not a political conversation. This is a relational, societal conversation. I'll come back over here to the comments and see where people are. Michael is here. Hey, buddy. And Staley. I'm on medical leave currently for mental health issues, largely due to how I grew up. Okay, there's a lot to that. And he says, I'll probably end up losing my job. Friendship helps me, but it's also stressful for me. I get it, man. We are made to be in relationship with each other. We are communal beings. That's one of the things in that article. If you keep reading down that article, it talks about like we are social, we are communal, and that we're meant to be together, and we're better when we're together, when we're collaborating and building and making things together. And that's been really hard. Yeah, so church, unwilling to associate socially, self-reliant, too much work. I'll bring this up here. Okay. Well, so I want, there's a lot to this. So I'll come back over here. And so I can't look at the comments and bring up these things that I wrote beforehand. But, okay, so most of us, we lost the ability to be friends beforehand. And so I think it's cost a lot. Now, the other thing is, so for us, like being isolated and being afraid of people and I'm not talking about that, but the muscles we would have needed to be good friends have just further atrophied and been used, and we've been isolated. And the problem is that loneliness is disproportionately predatory on the most vulnerable. So think about single moms, think about kids. I mean, for us, like we did not have a babysitter for over a year. And so because of that, I mean, and we fared pretty well because we still had a really good community of friends. We have a good church, and even in all of the complexity of social distancing and mask wearing and all that, it just made it to where unless we had our tribe, our friends, it would have been really, really hard. But loneliness, not having friends, disproportionately affects the most vulnerable, and they will carry a heavy burden. We have friends who have kids. We have a couple friends who have kids with disabilities, and what was really unfortunate was when things really shut down last year. They're babysitters that were paid for by the state because just these sweeping, like, you cannot be within 6 feet of other people. And so all of a sudden that meant kids with disabilities, their only caretakers were then their immediate family. And so both of them are single parents who, like, so all of a sudden single parents with kids with disabilities, it's just you see them carrying too heavy of a burden. So we jumped in, bringing meals to them, taking care of them. And so I don't know if you guys did this, but we kind of created like a germ circle is what we called ours. And so we had 6 families where our kids would play together. And so we will hang out with each other, but we didn't hang out with other people around that until vaccination and all that stuff. But so the reality is, let's see, how do I segue into this next one? So friendship is the answer to loneliness. And so, like I said, we're not necessarily talking about guitar culture. We're just talking about life and stuff. But friendship is one of the most helpful benefits in life. I think that it is vital. So friends can act like they're like a mirror. They help you see yourself from a different perspective, and they help you discover new things about yourself. Now, the bigger thing about friends versus family is family has a way of being like, now this can be distorted on both sides. Like you can have unhealthy friends that give you an inaccurate representation of yourself when it reflects back to you, but you also have family. So Dave Ramsey, there's a great quote from Dave Ramsey. He talks about powdered butt syndrome. And he's saying that like anyone that ever changed your diaper or powdered your butt is not going to want to take financial advice from you. And so if you continue that logic out, people who knew you when you're a kid, they have a way of kind of continuing to treat you like a kid long after you're an adult. And so that's where friends become really helpful and really meaningful, that they allow you to change and grow. They let you live by, they help you grow, change, learn from mistakes. Because sometimes family members, they have an ability to be like a house of mirrors, like one of those wonky, So family relationships can be like a house of mirrors. They can give you a distorted reflection of yourself back. They can give you the reflection of yourself through your worst mistakes. Through, for me, when I got arrested, when I was 17, when I was on probation, when I had a curfew, there are people who can only see you as, that idiot teenager. And they don't let you grow, change, learn from your mistakes, experience redemption in those things. I'm not saying, again, the analogy of friends and family like mirrors, that relationships are like mirrors, can be distorted on both sides. You could have really unhealthy friends and a really healthy family. But for us, friendship has been a really awesome thing. And so one of the biggest things is like over the last year, I mean, we've, I'll talk about that here in a second, actually. The other thing that we're finding coming out of so much time alone, so, as of the 80s and 90s, we started losing the ability to be friends. And then all of a sudden you throw in, this large season of suffering and isolation and being apart from each other. What we're coming back to is the realization that physical reality matters. We've kind of backed off and we've just gone into digital friendships. We've gone into social media in lieu of being together, and which some of it has been really good. I do think there's this component in which, we've learned a lot of things, and we've been able to share really cool, exciting things. Like lots of us have been able to share new skills, like as you've done stuff. So looks like a bunch of comments came in. So let me turn this off. I'll come back over here to the comments, and oh boy, something happened. Okay. Oh boy. Hey, Michael, so I will say, I understand where you're coming from, but I do think let's hang in this moment. Let's talk about just what has happened, and I don't want to be contentious, but I also know that I need to make space. So this space we're talking about just life and what's happens, guitars, friendship, and the community that we've built and how this community has helped us get through the last little bit. So I get it, Michael, I appreciate it. And so anyway, Staley, Michael, let's hang here. Let's be cool. Let's be with each other. So anyway, yes. So let's take back to, in any case, friendship. Elliot, thanks, buddy. So, Tom's out, but yes. So friendship, listening, being kind to each other. So Sonia, hey. So Sonia says, hey guys, I late to the party. Hi, Jeremy. I find the older I get, the less friends you have. Life just gets in the way of you. Can't control it. I think that's true, but I also think that's not, we need to be careful. We need to continue to be able to build friendships around us. So physical reality matters. In-person relationships are irreplaceable. What we have found, and I understand the irony of the fact that we are a digital community, we are a virtual community. Many of us have never actually met in real life. But there are things that happen when you're around actual people that are different than social media. And there is a breakdown because in social media, the biggest thing is it's a camera. And so you get to pick what things you share and what you show. And if you're uncomfortable, you typically don't post, you back off, or you post something that's happy or whatever. Real relationships are tricky. And it forces you. So there is a phrase that one of my old mentors used, and he's an Anglican priest. He's a dear friend of mine. And he said, hey, one of the things is we're probably not good friends if I haven't had to confess a sin to you, or if I haven't had to apologize. So you're probably not very good friends unless you have said something dumb, hurt someone's feelings, and had to say, I'm sorry. That was really insensitive. I could see that you were frustrated. I could see that you're hurt. So, that's one of the biggest breakdowns with social media, is more often than not, when you get offended, you disappear and you go to other people that have the same opinion as you. Or you only share the good things, not the hard things. So one of the questions I want to talk about is, what's the value of online friendships? Because I have made really important, really significant online friendships over the last year and a half in particular, with a lot of you guys as well. Like, a lot of us, we text and we chat and we send messages back and forth, and it's been a really, it's been a really good thing. So, yeah. So we have to prioritize, So Sam says, the one upside of the pandemic for me was that I finally had all the time in the world to play. So I started a nightly stream on Facebook for an hour, 100 nights in a row, and I now gig. That is amazing. Sam, that is really cool. Man, that is so good. Yeah, Sam, that is so cool. Caleb. Yeah. Caleb says, I love this live stream. Yeah, so what's the role of online friendships? For me, there's been so much cool connection around a thing that we all care about. And there's a sense of connection that comes from people loving the same thing. And that's why I think that, like, this channel isn't really about guitars. It's about the community. Like, we're building a community along the way. People who love guitars are pulling in the same direction, that believe that in music and friendship there is a better world. And so that's where there's plenty of noise and there's plenty of bait to get you to run out of here, to get you to be frustrated, angry, upset, disappointed. And I would say, don't take the bait. Like, don't take the bait that would break up friendships over opinions and all that stuff. So that's why I think that there's courage behind kindness, and I think that that's a really important thing. So, okay. Yeah, online friendships, they are really meaningful, but I think the biggest thing, and let me share an analogy. So, I have another friend who regularly talks about how the different, like, social media is like vitamins and friendship is like actual meals. And what he means by that is that social media, community, they're really important because they will give you vital things that come in very small doses. They will give you expertise on guitars. They'll give you, the minutia. Sorry, I got distracted. I heard stuff outside, and I got distracted. But social media has an amazing ability to give you those vital, key, small things that will support you in your real life back here. But this thing is still like meals. That's your main sustenance in life. Actual relationships, real people, playing your guitar in real life, playing with other people, creating music with other people, sharing your music, playing shows. That's all like real life. And then over here is just the nutrients and supports. What gets you in trouble is when you don't eat food and you just take your vitamins and you start feeling your bones like, oh man, like I'm malnourished. I don't feel healthy. I don't feel whole. That's when you get yourself in trouble. And so I think the big problem comes when you're not out here playing guitar. You're not out here making music. You're only watching gear reviews. Like, I wonder what's the scale length of that guitar? You're only focused on the nitty-gritty details, and you're missing the really life-giving part of music, friendship, relationships over here on this side. Some more comments coming in here. Sam says, enjoy the channel. Thanks for the great work calls. See you, buddy. Thanks for hanging out. So, watching college football is bone chilling, not only because of the chance. I'm not a sports guy. Okay, so, yeah. So that's the other thing. The other thing that's really helpful is that friends help you value the right things. Okay. The tool that your brain uses to make sense of the world around you is story. It's not stories, but it is story. And story involves a couple irreplaceable parts. You have a hero who wants something and they have a problem. They can't overcome that thing themselves. And then that problem drives them to find a guide. They have to find someone who has conquered that problem, and that guide can then give them a plan, can lead them through training, can give them wisdom, can give them insight. And then that guide has to call them to action. When they call them to action, that will result in either success or failure. So every story has predictable parts, and we're looking for those predictable parts in other people. We look at people and we see the problems that they have, and we see what they've overcome. We see the relationships that they have used to overcome. We see the wisdom, and you will hear it from people. You'll hear the wisdom. You'll hear how people called them to action in their life, and you will see how that resulted in either success or failure. A lot of times we'll see the failures in other people's lives, and we'll see, oh, they valued the wrong things. And that's how, So when you look at your life, when you look at the people like that you work with, or that you see at church, or people that you admire, that you find yourself admiring, you look at their lives and you're using that tool, you're using that structure to pull out what is worth valuing. You're going to see people that end their lives and say, and it's the most broad story that we're hearing in our culture right now is work was not satisfying. It was not meaningful. And I wish I would have paid more attention to my family and my kids. I wish I would have done work that mattered. I wish I would have said no to that phone call, that work call in the evening. And I wish I would have played baseball with my kids. We're starting to feel these things and know these things. But anyway, friends help you value the right things. And so for me, I've been incredibly fortunate. I have wonderful friends, wonderful mentors that I just admire, and it's been a really helpful thing. And I find myself trying to cultivate and build community, because once you've tasted the amazing things that friendship has to offer, you're going to want to invite other people into it as well. So what are the signs of real friendship? Let me fix that real quick. What are the signs of real friendship? All right. Okay. Hey, Staley and Michael, you guys chill. So hang here. Don't take the bait. We're in it together. We love guitars. We think that music, friendship, kindness is the way forward. And if you guys aren't cool with that, I'm sorry. We'll have to talk about that later. Okay. So what are the signs of real friendship? The signs of real friendship for me, one of the metrics I've had is you can do anything with anybody. You don't have to be friends. So you can get lunch with somebody. You can schedule lunch or coffee, or you could be on a Zoom call. You can do whatever you need to do. You can have just passerby, stranger transactions, interactions. The signs of real friendship for me is when I can call somebody and be like, hey, Joe, what you doing? Nothing, man. Just sitting around watching TV. Cool. I'll be right there. The idea that you can just like hang out, spend time, be together. So, you can do anything with anybody. The sign of a real friendship is someone that you can do nothing with. And that's the biggest thing over the last year is like the way real friendships are forged, the way incredible friendships really strengthen. So like my best friend lives here in town, and he and I see each other once a week now, and we live a mile apart. We probably see each other twice a week. We have kids around the same age. We see each other as much as we can, and it's still a couple hours a week. If we were trying to become friends now, we probably wouldn't become best friends. But there was a season in our life, like we lived together in college, and we would see each other every single day for, probably 10, 12 hours a day. Like if you're counting night, because we were actual roommates, shared the same room, and we had bunk beds and all that. So we would spend a ton of time together. We'd hang out. And so friendship often demands tons of time together. And if you used the pandemic time if you use your time right, you probably got to spend a lot of time with some people. For me, we did, because remember I talked about that germ circle. So we had this crew, and it's mostly like, it was all couples with little kids that were around the same age. So that way our kids still got to play with, like, we would meet in backyards, and like kids would get to play in a sprinkler or play hide and go seek or whatever, blow bubbles, all the stuff that like little kids do. And then the parents got to hang out, and we all really like each other, really enjoy each other. And the other breakouts would be after kids went to bed, we would trade off. So like, especially if you do a one couple, here's an idea for you. If you both have little kids at your house, you can say like, hey, like, after kids go down, wives go over to this house, husbands go over to this house, kids stay asleep, you sit around, you're still there so you can hear if kids wake up, all that stuff. That's an easy way to get some like meaningful time to hang out. So for us, it was like drink whiskey, have a fire, hang out, smoke a pipe or whatever. And it was like, I got 50 weeks, over, like we probably did 50 fires. And so there are people now that I now consider really, really close friends here in town that just happened because we got to spend a ton of time with each other. So anyway, meaningful friendships take a lot of time. And if you use the pandemic time right, you probably got to spend a bunch of time with people. Did you guys have that? I'll jump back in over here to the comments and see. So Elliot he's much more trained in this than I am. This is just a layman's, like a guy who likes being friends with people. So the article is called "The Politics of Loneliness is Totalitarian." There's a link in the description down below for the article that I read earlier. So a thought: you're comfortable being yourself around your friends. It's true. And if you feel uncomfortable, then that means a couple things. It probably, or is indicative, it could point to a couple things. Like I think one of the hardest things that you're going to have to deal with in your life. So in the Christian world, you've heard this. If you grew up around Christian culture, you've heard, the whole law hangs on love God with your whole heart and love your neighbor as yourself. But the problem is usually with that second one. Like, it's hard to love God, and it's hard to love your neighbor as yourself if you don't love yourself. So if you start at the back end, if you don't like yourself, if you don't like being around yourself, if you don't like hearing the music you make or the stories you tell, that's really hard. If the enemy's inside the gates, like if you can't find something redeemable, admirable, interesting about yourself, that's really hard. And so that's where you have to start. I'm not saying, I don't think the answer to identity is to look in yourself and find what's true and present that to the world. I think that, like, look at how you're made, look at who made you. I don't want to get overly involved in that, but I think it is tricky if you don't have structure within your identity, if you can't look inside and see what you offer the world. So that's where meaningful friendship comes in, because people can look into you. In the same way you're looking at people and you know what to orient yourself to, other people can look in you and probably see a little bit of what's going on, what's been hung up in you. All right. Okay, so yeah, what does that title mean? The Politics of Loneliness is Totalitarian. So the problem with communication is that it's usually only about 5% what is said and 95% what you hear. So I think when people hear this, they're probably hearing something that I don't think the author is writing, and it's worth reading. There is a political component, like that article talks a lot about politics. And I pulled that part out because I just want to talk about the fact that, hey, many of us have less friends, many of us, or just us, we have many less friends than our parents did, just speaking proportionally, statistically. And so the reality is loneliness is totalitarian. It will dominate you. It will control you. It will know you're coming and going. It will change your patterns. It will change. Loneliness is oppressive. I think is the largest point. So, okay. So there's a thing that's happening now, that's real, and it's anyway. I don't know how to deal with it. So let's come back to one of the things is okay. So if we're saying like meaningful friendship takes a lot of time, we got a lot of time with people. The next one is real friends are okay with you not being okay. They're probably not okay with you staying there, but I think a sign of good friends are friends that see you in a rough spot or see maybe a thing in your blind spot, and they say like, hey, that's hard. Like sometimes you need a friend to just look at it and say, sheesh, that's hard. Because people who are bad at being friends are going to say like, oh no, like think about Liz Lemon in 30 Rock. Like when Jack, who's a really meaningful friend to her, he starts crying and she's like, oh no, don't cry. Like she has feel really uncomfortable. She feels really uncomfortable with someone experiencing negative emotions or hard emotions or sadness. And so anyway, so real friends are okay with you not being okay. And real friends are the friends that say, man, that sucks. That's hard. Yeah, and it's tricky. Lots of people are not good at being friends. So, questions for you guys. Do you have a best friend? Do you have a friend who is like privy to the hard stuff? To the real, like, when you feel that existential dread. Like, I don't know if I belong. I don't know if I matter. Because we all are afraid of that. We all, no. We're not all afraid of that. But we all experience that. We all come into that place. You know, even me, like, I mean, I'm at a place, and this is me being incredibly honest. I mean, I'm at a place now where like I am trying my hardest to make this business work, to make a YouTube channel and a website, marketing consulting and creating content and helping people find the right guitars for them, helping people make meaningful relationships. I'm trying to do that in a way that also takes care of my family, because right now, like, it's really stressful trying to make sure that I'm able to provide for my family. And so, yeah, do you have best friends? I'll come over here to the comments. Here's a good one. I can honestly say I have two friends with 27 years old. I think on often, but I take it. I can honestly say I have two friends with 27 years old. I think often on that matter, but I take it and grow, make new. Okay, I think I got what you're saying. Yeah, old friends are, yeah. There's a great song by Ben Rector, who Ben is a friend. He's he and my in-laws, my sister-in-law and her husband are really good friends with Ben Rector. And Ben Rector has a song about you can't make old friends. And it's true. Like, unless you're really fortunate to be in a place where you value place and people and being together. Yeah. So Sonia says, from an old Helen Reddy song, loneliness takes the trouble out of all falling stars. Out of falling stars. Because there is nothing to wish for. Oh, that's sad. Oh, loneliness takes the trouble out of falling stars. Because there is nothing to wish for. Oh, yeah. Sounds like it's like a Jason Isbell song as well. Jeff, I'm glad we're in the same crew. And yeah. So Staley says he has three best friends. One of my brother. That's amazing. One of my closest friends in my life is my brother. I have three brothers, but one in particular, he and I have just been close friends. We were in a bunch of bands together. He lives in Australia. He runs a podcast. We have pretty parallel lives, but we're really far apart. and it's really hard to keep up. And so Taylor says, this is an interesting statement. It might seem strange that the absence of friendship in the lives of the individual man and women could be paving the way for the gravest forms of political misfortune. It's true. Social media has had a really profoundly terrible impact on us. It has given power to our worst instincts, to deny the humanity of each other and to alienate each other and to not, I mean, the amount of people that have said really mean things to me on the internet has impossibly outperformed anyone ever saying anything mean to me in person. And as soon as I respond to a mean comment on the rare occasion that I do, people say like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Thanks, man. I love your channel. Thanks for all those videos." There's a lot of keyboard courage. So anyway, I would continue to say, don't take the bait. Don't take the bait that we are separate. That we are, yeah. So, how many close friends do you have? That's another question. For me, I have a couple crews. I have the guys I grew up with and I went to college with and lived together. And there's still like 12 of us that are just really great friends. And even now it's impossibly hard. It's really, really hard to stay close. But meaningful friendships don't happen on accident. Long-term friendships don't happen without active involvement and engagement. So, yeah, let social media remind you of people that you love. Don't use social media in a really voyeuristic way. There's an easy way for you to just be like, oh, I wonder how many kids they have now, or I wonder who they voted for. I would say if you're not taking the bait is you're alone, you're isolated, you don't need people because you need people. All of those, the inverse is completely true. Like, we are connected. We're better when we're together, and we need each other. We are a country, we are a nation, we are a society of interdependence. Independence is dying alone on an island talking to a volleyball, you know? Like, interdependence is knowing that someone is out there looking for you, waiting for you. So anyway, use social media as a helpful way to connect. So we talked about what are signs of people being, well, okay, what are signs of people being bad at friendship? Yep. Hang on. Nope. This one. Social media is changing the fabric of our way of life by discouraging actual social contact. That's true. But I don't. We were falling apart. You know, if 1990 to 2017, like there's a long stretch in there before social media. I think that we're. I still have a hotbed of coals in this, and it's good. This whole video went different than I thought it would, which is great. You know, and it feels like this is an important conversation. So, yeah. So I think at its best, well, okay, sorry. We'll come back to this question. So, signs of people being bad at friendships when they don't want you to be not okay. When they don't want you to share what's actually going on in your life. When you feel uncomfortable or you feel like you can't share, oh, that's too personal. So it's, part of it is like, and you've seen jokes and memes and stuff in sitcoms about this. You know, when someone's like, hey, Bill, how are you? And if someone ever actually answers that question honestly, hey, man, my marriage is pretty hard. Hey, man, my kids, we're struggling with this. I don't know how to deal with this. That's the sign of somebody not being good at being friends. And we need to be good at friends because we're made to do it. And it is worth it. Friendship is absolutely worth it. So here's another really good question. How many of your friends are either much older than you or much younger than you? Some of my most meaningful friendships in my whole life have come from people that are way older than me. My friend Sam, I've talked a lot about Sam. He owned a bunch of amazing guitars. He taught me a ton about friendship, business, music, guitars, kindness. And it's really important for you to learn to be friends with people that are just in a way different part of life than you are. So the other thing is, it's really important to be friends with people that are way younger than you. I'm just now, like, I'm 34. So I'm just now getting to where, like, oh, like I am, I'm, hanging out more with college students again. There's a long stretch where I wasn't around the college community, but now, just through, people in my life now, I'm hanging out with a lot more college students. And it's funny because there's definitely a difference, like just in what people value and what people like talk about and what music people listen to, and what movies people listen to or watch. And it's just interesting, like, just in that like 14 to 16 year gap now between where I am and where they are. And it's really cool and really meaningful. There is a high predictor. Like if you have kids, one of the best things for them to become healthy, functioning adults is to have friendships with adults that are not their parents but are the same gender. So my little boy, the best predictor of him being a healthy, well-adjusted adult is for him to have friendships with my friends. And it's, the same thing. Like it's this interdependence. It's this net of society of, now with that, I have to be really careful. Like you rightfully have to be careful because it's your role to protect and, but it's really meaningful. So my closing thought on this, and this all went longer than I thought. I thought we'd have some Q&A talking about guitars, which we still can. I can hang around for a couple minutes and we can talk about guitars. Inevitably somebody's going to be like, what do you think of Alvarez guitars? Which is great. It's meaningful and there's a time for it. But my closing thought on this, friendship is totally worth it. And most people are pretty bad at it. There's a chance that you're probably pretty bad at it. Very few people, as the research has shown, very few people have close friends, meaningful friends, friends that when things are hard, you run to and you don't run away from, you don't hide from. So I would say make a short list of people that you're just like, you just want to check in with. Hey, buddy, how are you? And then ask like, what's going on? How's life? If people don't want to share, that's okay. Because you'll meet people that aren't good at like, I'm someone that I always, it's pretty easy for me because I have a pretty stout sense of self. And I don't mean that in any arrogant way. I struggle with arrogance like most people. But I'm pretty honest with my failures. And so with that, I'm okay. I feel really secure in my relationships and friendships and my sense of self that I can share a lot of the like, hey, here's what's going on. And so anyway, you'll run into people. I will share with people pretty regularly, like something honest, something real. Like, hey man, I am pretty stressed out about, my thing is like, the worry for me most often is, do I matter? Is what I'm doing, does my work matter? Is the world actually a better place because of my work? Are people actually being kind to each other? Are they discovering a meaningful life? I will lose sleep over that stuff. And that's when I'm like carrying a burden. That's what it, like that. Or my kids growing up to be helpful, healthy adults, well-adjusted adults. That's the stuff that I'll lose sleep over. So I'll come back over to the comments. And So William says, every one of my friends is older than me. I don't get along with younger people. I think there's probably some younger people. But, I mean, it's like if you're not... And so in that article, one of the things it talks about is like there's a lot of people who don't go to church. Like they didn't grow up in that tradition, or they, like, for many reasons, the church is not a good place for them. For me, I mean, that is the main place in which I'm around other people that are just very different than me, especially age-wise. But I totally get that. Other places in which... other places in which you would get that kind of diverse interactions would be like being involved in... Because just general involvement in all of those organizations. Like, who's joining the Rotary Club anymore? One of the things I loved when I was in Louisiana, I was really involved in this group called BNI, Business Networking International. It's a really helpful way to especially if you own a small business, to get connected with other small business owners, or, you know, they tend to lean more financial and residential and business and service oriented. So like, if nothing else, you'll get to know a home builder and a realtor and a mortgage broker and an insurance guy, and, you know, so anyway, yeah, it's a good way to get to know. So anyway, Elliot says, ever tried, ever failed. Try again, fail better. That's true. Yeah, just get better. Like, I use that philosophy in most everything I do. Because one of the things is, like, perfect is the enemy of good. I'm someone that I don't want things to be perfect, but I want to dazzle people. I want it to be really good when I put things out. And I've just had to die to that expectation. I've had to let that thing die. And so for me now, like, especially when I make video, like when I started making YouTube videos, they had bad video, they had bad audio. I was uncomfortable in front of camera. I didn't like how I looked. I didn't like how I sounded. I didn't like the way I played guitar on camera. There are a million things that, if you let insecurity rob those things, you'd give up. But I've just tried to, like, each video is better than the last one. As long as I'm doing that, as long as in some way I communicate an idea more clearly, or I play guitar a little better, or the lighting is better, or the audio is better, if I know how to use a camera a little better, all those things, that's really good. So anyway, cool. So, okay, that's the end of that. We had some friction. That's good. Friction is good. Good stories have tension. So if you're in a situation in which you're feeling no tension, chances are it's not a good story. So if you have just like a kosher, just a boring, sorry, that's probably the misuse of the word kosher, but if you just have a life that, like, it's all vanilla, it's all just fine, and everything's good, it's probably, like, that's not a story somebody would want to watch. That movie would never be made. If the biggest tension in your life is, does Brian get the financing on the Volvo? That's a boring story. Meaningful stories have tension. And so if you feel tension, if you feel a fire in your belly to do a thing that matters in the world, you're aimed for a good story. So, and good stories, yeah. Anyway, yes. David, thanks, man. Yeah, David says, this is why I love this channel. It's way more than just a guitar channel. Yeah, it's true. I don't know how to just talk about guitars. To me, I want to talk about life. I want to talk about things that matter. And for me, guitars they're certainly in the car. I think you get in trouble when guitars are in the driver's seat. I think that it's the human experience that matters. It is the things that happen along the way. So let friendship drive you to be a better musician. Let it drive you to be a better friend, a better person, a better neighbor, a better father, better husband, better wife, whoever you are, wherever you are. Ben, Mr. Ben Paget himself, says perfection certainly stunts growth. Either you've achieved it either you've achieved it, so no room to further, or you feel like you'll never obtain it, so no reason to go further. So growth is important. That's amazing. That's some good wisdom. That's Ben Paget. He's a wonderful friend. He's an amazing guitar builder. He's built one of my favorite guitars that I've ever owned. And I'm filming a video on that, Ben. I meant to tell you this when we texted the other day. But yeah, so Elliot says, yep, thanks for all your thoughtfulness and company this afternoon. All right, well, Ben, we want to hear more of your guitars, please. Yes, I'm filming a video. I'm going to do a video unveiling my new guitar, and we're going to talk more long form about it. Ben and I filmed something, and then I found out afterwards that my camera was broken, and so there's a video that never happened that he and I filmed in like July or August. But yeah, Ben makes amazing guitars. We need to see one here in the Pacific Northwest. Well, if you buy one, so Ben's working on it. He's got amazing guitars coming. And then also there is another guitar. If you want a Paget guitar, there is one for sale. I just posted it on Instagram earlier today. There is the twin, let's say fraternal twin, not identical twin. It's a fraternal twin Mine is, it's not blonde. Mine is mahogany. There's one that's cocobolo, but they have similar tops. The specs are very similar except for the tone wood on the back and sides and the binding and the rosette. But very cool, a very, very good sounding guitar. And Staley says he spent his money on a Martin. Yes, but I love my Paget guitar. So let's do like 5 minutes of like hangout guitar questions. Or if you have questions, comments, what do you feel about this? We've had some slanderous remarks. It's been a good day. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions about this stuff. How do you feel? How do you feel about your ability to be friends? Do you have meaningful friendships? Do you want to grow in that? Yeah, just I'll hang out here. I'll check out. I'll answer some questions. My mouth is super dry, so I'm gonna drink some. I'm gonna drink some LaCroix. My Kirkland, my Costco LaCroix. Not a sponsor. I could be bought by Costco. That's not. I could be bought. This isn't a Paget. This is my Harrisonburg. Oh boy. Let's see. So Ben's working on guitars. Matt, thanks, man. Matt says I'm 60 and I take on board a lot of what you say, bud. Yeah, I know little. I don't know much. I found a couple things that I feel are really valuable. Certainly haven't arrived, but I'm thankful for the journey and I'm excited for what's coming next. So, Hassan Dalton or Bourgeois? For me, Hassan Dalton. Bourgeois is great guitars. Check out, so we talk about, I was on the 40 Watt podcast this week. We talked about, Philip just got a Bourgeois. Really cool guitar. He got an early one, like a 90s. Bourgeois are awesome. They sound really great. And so for me, Hassan Dalton is really nostalgic because they're 30 minutes from my hometown. When I first started getting into high-end guitars, I didn't know they existed for a long time. But when I was maybe 20 or so, 21, I was like, whoa, these guys are in Stanton. They're really close. So I used to like skip class or like, I used to go hang out and watch them play or watch them build guitars. They went their tour a bunch of times. And, but I bought the absolute wrong guitar. The first Hassan Dalton I bought was just totally wrong for me. And this one, it took a long time for me to be like, oh, that's the one I should have got. So this is a 2009 TDM. So for me, this is a traditional dreadnought mahogany. So this is kind of 18 style, has a through saddle, which is a little problematic, but it plays great. So it's okay. It's kind of settled in. It's mahogany back and sides. Really good looking guitar. It's kind of dark. See, can I do it this way? Will that look better? But ebony bridge, ebony fingerboard. I got this guitar for $2,000. This one's just very cool. So let's see. Bone saddle for sure. Is that a bluegrass? Is that a bluegrass mat? I think you guys are talking. Let's see. Just received 2 sets of nickel bronze acoustic strings from my Martin. Good times coming. Those are. I love those strings. That's what's on this. These are the Diodario nickel bronze. I like these a lot. I actually like these more than the Martin retros. And yeah. I haven't tried the Santa Cruz strings. I want to. I'm just cheap. I can't. I mean, they're expensive. That's where I'm like, maybe for a video, I'll try them. I've been meaning to do a video in the same way that I've been meaning to do a video on my pink Paisley Telly for 5 years. I've been meaning to make a video on guitar strings and my take on those. So Anyway, so that's a good question, Staley. So, is there anything wrong with the finish on the back of this guitar? So it does look. There it is. Can you see this up here? It's just tons of. Oh, it's here. It's the buckle rash, and so see right there. So basically, what's going on with this guitar is that the guy who owned this guitar before me, it's all down on the bottom here. He had a big belt buckle. So the guy played in like an old-timey band or like an old like Western swing band. And so that's what's so cool is Kimberly Dalton from Huss and Dalton. Kimberly said, like, I remember who bought that guitar. This one when it was new. She's like, I remember he picked it up and he had this like big belt buckle and a big like 10-gallon hat and he played in Texas. And so he played it up real high. So it's just a bunch of belt buckle rash. Nothing's through the finish, but it is pretty swirly and pretty like, yeah, it's a lot. I mean, it's like all the way, only the bottom here. But I love this guitar. The other cool thing, if you saw the video, is this one. It's not a neck crack, but Mark Dalton, while I was there, was able to fix. He called a whiplash. He said at some point this guitar fell face forward. And when it did, the finish, not the wood, but just the finish broke here on the corner. So, anyway. Sonia says, any idea why my Yamaha 12-string tuners are loose? There is no side screw on the peg, and the gear is tight, but the worm is loose in the slot. How to secure? Okay, so there's no buttons this way. Okay, so if there's no buttons, sorry, it's on. I have my camera. My camera is pretty amazing. This is a new camera. It has eye autofocus, so it will always find my eye and keep me focused. But so my, yeah, I think it's. So if you only have the screw in the back, you don't have a screw this way. Just the worm gear is loose. It's probably just the fitment between the round gear and then the worm gear. That's frustrating. I'm sorry. Sometimes, I don't know. Yeah. Do you have like play in them? Like, I have some old Martins from the 40s that like, they're just like, I have to like drop them down and then bring them up. And then if they wiggle, they will loosen up in the play between like tightening and loosening. So anyway, that's a bummer. I'm sorry. But okie dokie. Well, let's talk about things to come. So one of the most exciting things coming up is, oh boy, hang on, I gotta turn this off. Hang on. Gotta turn this off. So one of the most exciting things now is that I now have an official guitar shop with Sweetwater. So this is my page. This is not an inclusive, not a completely total list, but this is my shop on Sweetwater. So use the link in the description down below because that is an affiliate link. And so if you go there and if you buy anything, if you're curious about whatever guitars and gear that I have on there, I get a commission, and that is it will relieve a lot of stress in my life if I start growing some of these revenue streams a little bit. I'm not selling you on gear that you don't want or need, but if you are using Sweetwater, please use my affiliate links. Also, if you saw my Instagram story, there are new beans. Brand new coffee, roasted yesterday. So if you go grab a bag of coffee, those are up. And then also, we have new hats. They are done, I think they're done today. So new hats, $25 in the shop. And yeah, I might sneak out a coupon code on those. So anyway, when you buy merch, when you support the channel, when you buy anything through the store, when you use those affiliate links, you directly take care of all this. And you also take care of my personal life and my family. And I want to do this for a long, long, long time. And it's really helpful and wonderful when you use those links. Also, hit a thumbs up on the video. I know it's annoying. I know that it's annoying. It's annoying to say it, but there's a direct correlation between more thumbs up, more people watching, and also videos that really do well and have a lot of thumbs up. I get paid more. Like, it's more valuable to advertisers. I get it. I'm sorry. But anyway, I'm glad that we're in it together. I really am so thankful. So go fill the world with music and friendship. Yeah, this was a good one. There were feelings hurt, and maybe that's not true. But I'm glad that we have each other. I'm glad that we have community. And this is a fun video. So thanks for watching. I'll see you later. It's the weekend. I'm done. This is my last thing. I'm done by 3:15 on a Friday afternoon. Life is good. So smash that like button. Smash it. 2021 style. Yeah. Anyway. On the way out, tell me your takeaway. What's the thing today you're like, oh man, that's real. I gotta deal with that. Okay. Let me play some more guitar. Oh, here's my pick. Here's my guitar. I left the amp on this whole time. Hopefully there wasn't a bunch of white noise in there. Okay. Yeah, they play in the tuners. Probably some grease would help. So, all right. That's just the Mjolnir. Alright, I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna bring you down. Oh boy. Too many moving parts. Let's see. Can I... Alright, hang in there. There we go. It's so noisy. Why is it so noisy? I might just... Okay, so I have like... Let's see. I have this one, that one, that one, that one on. And then just this guy's on the other one. Anyway, that's all I got. Thanks so much. I'm so glad we're in it together. Like I said, fill the world with music and friendship. Become friends. Be friends. Be bad at being friends, and then learn how to be a better friend, because it's worth it. And the world needs it. People need it. You need it. Your neighbor needs it. And you will find that it's just awesome. It's really good, really meaningful. So, hasta luego. See you guys.